Howdy folks, and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be a bit of a long one and a bit of a difficult one, so please hang in here with me. I'm going to be talking about parasocial relationships and specifically how they apply in Animal Jam and with Animal Jam content creators. This is a bit of a broad topic and a bit of a controversial one, so it's going to need to be a little bit nuanced, but I'm going to do my best to present this in a way that is not demonizing to anyone. If you already don't know what a parasocial relationship is, it could be traditionally defined as a one-sided relationship between a fan and a popular person. This can be a content creator, a rapper, an actor, sort of anyone that has a large following. In the past, when I was super young or before I was born, parasocial relationships weren't as prevalent an issue because at the time, sure, you'd watch a actor in a movie or whatever, and maybe you thought they're really cute, and you'd gain a sort of emotional attachment to them through consuming all of the content in which they were present. But there's really no way that you could really contact them without, maybe sending them a letter to their P.O. box and praying that they would read it, and you never really know. So parasocial relationships back in the day were a little bit more difficult to build up. Not to say that it didn't happen. There were cases long before I was born where there were parasocial relationships severe enough that people went out and did bad things because of them. However, nowadays, parasocial relationships can be a lot more easy to develop, especially with content creators and small celebrities, because nowadays, if I really wanted to, I could go out on Twitter and go tweet at Brad Pitt. I don't think he'd respond, but there is still that understanding that, hey, he might see this. And especially when content creators or celebrities are interacting with their fan base by retweeting their artwork or talking with people in a Discord server, it's a lot easier to get personally invested in famous people nowadays because of the age of the internet. And if I'm quite honest, this isn't, especially nowadays, entirely exclusive to quote-unquote famous people. You can easily get a parasocial relationship with someone you just kind of know online. Maybe you think that you're a lot closer to this online person you've never met before than you actually are. And I've seen it happen with just regular, ordinary people who just know each other online, and one person gets super uber attached, and the other person hardly knows who this guy is. However, parasocial relationships are a lot more prevalent within content creators. A good example for me to go off of would be Dream. Yes, Dream, the Minecraft creator. Most creators want to build a fan base, or at least want to build a community in which their fans can feel welcome, and so they can engage and talk with their fans. And this isn't a bad thing because, well, obviously I'm a content creator, and obviously I'm human, so of course I like to talk to people. Even about, Animal Jam. I still, despite just making content for it, I still love the game, and I still play it when I'm not engaging in content creation. However, because I do frequently engage in the Animal Jam community outside of my YouTube platform, it helps people feel as if they are a lot closer with me than they actually are. People can get a big feel for who someone is or feel like they're getting close to someone through consuming their media, especially on YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that, where the media in question can be a lot more personal. For example, me making YouTube videos about my personal opinions and drama and controversies within Animal Jam is a lot more personal medium than if I was acting in a movie where I played another character. Though, to be fair, on social media, it's not as if content creators aren't sort of playing a character of their own. Anyone who really knows me knows that I'm not quite the same person on social media as I am behind the scenes. Not to say that I'm a radically different person, I just try to be a little bit more positive and a little bit more tolerant when it comes to social media, just because I know how crazy it can be on there. However, because of my overwhelming friendliness, at least I try most of the time, and the general friendliness of most content creators, a lot of their viewers feel as if they are a lot closer and a lot more quote-unquote friends with the creators than they actually are. And this can cause a lot of problems on both sides of the situation. You see, if you're talking with a content creator, even if they are a relatively smaller one, and even if you are talking with them somewhat frequently, unless you guys are actually best friends outside of the content creation sphere, there is an inherent power dynamic between the two people. For example, the content creator is going to have a lot more influence over the interactions and engagement with their community and fan base than a single individual within the fan base would have. So, for example, if I were to go ask a bunch of random Animal Jam players, just pick a bunch out at random, and ask them to gift me, which I wouldn't do because that's kind of taking advantage of a situation. But regardless, if I were to just go take a random sampling of Animal Jam players and ask for free gifts, I would most likely receive a lot more free gifts than if random New Jammer 35 went out and asked a bunch of random Animal Jam players for gifts. Of course, this is sort of a dumb, I suppose, equivalency, but long story short, I have a lot more influence, and I'm able to request more and get more and kind of influence people to do different things that a normal Animal Jam player wouldn't be able to do. And unfortunately, this happens all of the time over the internet. I don't think that I can personally go out of my way and name a specific Animal Jam influencer who has done so, but I know that there are plenty of content creators online who has taken advantage of their power dynamic to do horrible things, whether that be to scam their audience, to influence children to do things they shouldn't do, or generally to just be horrible and awful people. And unfortunately, because of the inherent power dynamic between the influencer and the influencee, it is a lot easier to get away with doing these bad things. Sometimes this can even be because the fan of the influencer or creator has kind of created a false narrative of who this person is in their head and has begun to idolize them. This is kind of unfortunately normal, where I'll see someone out there like Brad Pitt, for example, I don't know why I keep bringing him up, and say, oh my gosh, look at Brad Pitt, he's so cute, and I might build a false idea of who Brad Pitt actually is based on how he presents himself online, and I may begin to idolize him as a role model of sorts. Not to assume that they're actually a bad person offline, because I have talked to them before and I know that they're not, but let's just use Wisteria Moon, for example. Wisteria Moon uses her content to promote positivity and friendliness and has a really, in my opinion, positive community. However, who knows, maybe offline Wisteria Moon is some sort of monster. I highly doubt it. But everyone sort of assumes the idea that Wisteria Moon is this very positive and kind person, who I do believe she actually is, but pretending that she's not, if she does go out and do something awful and horrible and mean, it's a lot easier for someone to assume that she didn't actually do those things, or she didn't actually have the intention behind doing those things because of the false idea of Wisteria Moon they've created in their head to assume that, oh, that's Wisteria Moon. Everyone knows Wisteria Moon. She would never do that. Of course, it is never the fault of the fan for being, taken advantage of by any creator whatsoever. The only problem is that they are more likely and honestly more vulnerable to be taken advantage of simply for being a fan. That doesn't make it their fault at all. However, in different circumstances, sometimes the fans can take it too far too. When people have an idealized picture of someone in their mind, they may then expect a certain consistent outcome in this idealized person's behaviors. For example, if I started suddenly making Animal Jam skits instead of Animal Jam commentary videos, people might go after me simply because I'm not doing what they want me to do, and because they feel like they may be entitled to it considering the amount of effort and heart and hard work they put into loving my content and to encouraging me. And of course, pressuring me into doing anything in particular is never a good idea and is never the right thing to do. However, it's because of that parasocial relationship they may feel towards me that they may feel that they expect a certain outcome or have a sort of closeness that would allow them to encourage certain behaviors within myself. A good example of this that I have experienced personally, and that actually I know a couple other creators that has experienced personally, is that unfortunately when I started my channel, I wasn't really expecting a lot of people to watch my content. And so instead of, setting boundaries early on, I set a very bad expectation for my audience. When I only had a couple hundred subscribers and it was only one or two people asking here and there, hey KijiCon, can I buddy you? Hey KijiCon, can I hang out with you? I would say yes, of course, because I wasn't really seeing that many people doing it, and hey, what's hanging out with one or two fans once in a while? However, I set the standard when I first made my channel because of that I would buddy anybody who asked, and that because these people felt that they had a close relationship with me, it was expected by them that I would never unbuddy them, when in reality, I really don't know these people. So nowadays, whenever I am online and I can't even be doing content stuff, I could just be trading, I could be decorating my den, I could be hanging out with my friend like Toffee Bell, and I would come online and there will now be 100 different people begging to buddy me, and a lot of them do get genuinely extremely upset with me when I will tell them, hey, I'm sorry, I can't buddy you. And I would never blame them for that because I do understand that I set a certain boundary and expectation in the beginning. However, to continue to hold this expectation now that I'm almost at 4,000 subscribers and it's now hundreds of people asking to be my buddy, it's unreasonable. I don't have any animosity towards any of you. In fact, I would say that I do genuinely love my fan base, and I do love the ability to put my opinion out there and feel as if people actually care about what I have to say. However, the unfortunate fact of it is, I really don't know you guys. You guys could have gifted me during a live stream, you could be there for a lot of my videos, but I'm not going to get to know you guys personally. Not just because there are so many people watching my videos, but also because a lot of you guys are a lot younger than me, and it would simply not be appropriate for me to have an engaged friendship with a 13-year-old as an 18-year-old. However, explaining that to a younger audience and to younger people can be incredibly difficult, and so a lot of the times I'm stuck in a very uncomfortable situation where I feel as if I would like to unbuddy a lot of the people that I have buddied in the past because I did that under the impression that I wouldn't have that many followers and that it would just make their day and make them happy. But in doing so, a lot of the times I severely upset my fans when it comes to me having to unbuddy them, which is why I'm going to say that if I unbuddy you, I'm sorry. I just probably really don't know you. And unfortunately, I'm not alone in that. That happens to a lot of content creators, both of Animal Jam and not, where they'll set an expectation early on that they're going to behave a certain way or do a certain thing consistently until they grow to a certain size where that really can't happen anymore. And the crazy thing is that on a game like Animal Jam, where you're consistently socializing with other individuals behind the alias of a persona, a little Animal Jam avatar, never knowing what they're really like, parasocial relationships can build a lot easier with a lot of people with a much smaller following, if any following at all. For example, I have a friend who has a smaller following who made another friend, quote unquote, on Animal Jam, not because of their following, but instead because this friend of mine gifted another player an item. This player received the gifted item and immediately within their head, only having the encounter with my friend of being gifted, built the idea in their head of who my friend was without actually knowing them as a person, and thereby expected them to behave a certain way. Now, me and my friend are actually pretty close. We're really good friends both in and outside of Animal Jam. And so, a while ago, when I did a live stream with them and they were present on the live stream, we were doing some playful banter back and forth that was appropriate to go on between friends. However, this viewer of mine, seeing how I was engaging with my friend personally, assumed that it was okay to act like this around this friend, even though my friend really didn't know them personally. This resulted in the viewer acting obnoxiously in front of said friend around a bunch of other people on Animal Jam, making them feel extremely uncomfortable because they were acting as if they were best friends with each other and just playful bantering that would be appropriate between friends, but would be incredibly inappropriate between people who didn't know each other. And because of my friend not really knowing this person personally, it made them feel extremely uncomfortable. And it was very difficult to explain to this person why their behaviors were inappropriate because they could always fall back in the argument of, well, KijiCon did it on a live stream, so it has to be okay. When the reason that it was okay in the live stream was because me and this friend, well, we were friends. A really good example of this would be my friend Carrie, who shows up on my channel quite frequently as that blue anteater character, who is overcharacterized as being obsessed with anteaters and a massive nerd, and a little bit silly or stupid sometimes. And it's okay if I portray them as being a big nerd and sometimes a little stupid in my videos because I know them personally. They are my actual friend and I've talked with them before and they are okay with me making little jokes involving them. In fact, sometimes I make those little soup YouTube shorts about all of my friends over-exaggerating their personalities and everyone thinks it's absolutely hilarious. However, it is 100% crossing a line for someone who is a fan of mine to approach Carrie outside of that context and treat them like an idiot or belittle them and treat them like a stupid nerd. That is not nice. That is not who Carrie actually is. You don't actually know who Carrie is. You only know how I portray them on my channel, and that is a very warped view of the person. Now, enough of my waffling about why did I make this video, what is the point in it. I don't mean to come off as if I'm just scrutinizing all of my fans, because this isn't supposed to be a massive criticism on the people that follow me. I know that the people who act in a way that might make me uncomfortable or might make my friends uncomfortable don't do it out of malicious or out of like a reason to make people feel upset on purpose. It's just kind of inherently what happens when you have a fan base, and if that's the case, if this kind of just always happens, then why am I talking about it? Well, this video is meant to be a bit of a precursor to an upcoming video I plan on releasing, hopefully sometime soon, about the sort of Animal Jam drama community as a whole. Because a lot of the times when people have an idealized version of someone in their head, they're going to hold them up to a lot higher standards than they might hold an average player to. Because really, every person, yes, even you watching this video, you've done something in your life that hypothetically, if you had a platform, you could be canceled for. Nobody is perfect. People make mistakes all of the time. But when you are a content creator and when there are parasocial relationships involved, you are held to much higher standards than the average person is. And even worse so, if you have an idealized version of this person in your head, or fictional version of who they actually are, having that illusion shattered and realizing they may be a person beyond that, a person with mistakes, or more dynamic a personality, and you realize that and that illusion is shattered, it can result in people acting in very cruel and vile ways. I have seen way too many times to count a content creator that I am personally friends with or personally a fan of get quote-unquote exposed for something that they may have done 5 years ago, sometimes even longer. And obviously this person has changed to be who they are now, and they maybe wouldn't do those things again. However, because the personal illusion of this person quote-unquote doing no wrong being shattered, it can result in them being sent horrifying things and being treated almost subhuman. And that is never okay, but unfortunately, it's even more so prevalent in the Animal Jam community, not only because the community is a lot smaller, which means that the community is going to be able to engage with their content creators they're a fan of a lot more frequently because of the smaller size, but also because Animal Jam is the sort of game that 100% encourages community involvement on top of that, with stuff like Jambassadors and community contests that kind of invokes a feeling of togetherness or familiarity with the content creators that you're a fan of. When you're all doing the same things, a fan of the same things, and engaging in the same things, stuff like that makes you feel like you have a much more personal relationship with the creator than you may feel in other much larger communities like Super Mario or Smash Bros. Or, I don't know, Mortal Kombat. And so by making this video, I'm not saying things like, well, you shouldn't be a fan of Animal Jam creators, leave them alone, you're being annoying. And I'm not saying stuff like that you're stupid, or that you're mean, and that I hate you guys. In fact, I would say that I love you guys, and I love being able to have the people that I have in my life. But what I am saying is that sometimes it could be a good idea to step back, take a deep breath, and imagine, hey, what if it was me? What if I had the huge platform and people were expecting these crazy things of me? Would I be able to handle it? Maybe consider the fact that content creators aren't maybe who you think they are. And that while I do love hanging out with you guys, I can't be all of your friends. And when I am doing something like unbuddying someone or maybe ignoring someone because I'm in the middle of something, I'm not doing that because I hate you. I am not doing that because I dislike you. I simply do not have the ability or mental energy to maintain personal friendships with every single viewer I have. And it might be a good idea to take a step back on the pressure that you put on any Animal Jam creator. Because in the end, they're people too, and sometimes the things they can go through can be pretty overwhelming. And while I'm gonna have to end this here, this is not the end of the conversation. There is a chance that this won't be the next video I put out. I may put the Jambassador video out next when all the new, well, some of the new Jambassadors are announced, since that's coming up very soon. But I'm going to be putting a video out very soon, if not the next video, then the video after that, where I'm going to be talking about the Animal Jam drama community. That meaning the people who sort of stir up drama for no reasons. I'm not going to be naming names or anything, but I'm going to be explaining the culture behind that, why it happens, and why it is so horrifying that it does happen. I'm going to be trying to cover both sides of the situation there as to why people may feel justified in doing that, and sort of the difference between drama and holding people accountable for their actions. That being said, I hope you liked this video, and I do want you to know that even if you feel a little bit hurt by this video in some way or another, I don't mean to do this to hurt you guys personally. I just feel like this is a conversation and a topic that are impacting a lot of people on Animal Jam. Not just myself, not just creators, but some of my friends and some of the other people out there in Animal Jam who may have quote-unquote parasocial or toxic relationships with people from the Animal Jam game, and I feel like this was something important to talk about. But I hope you guys liked the video regardless, and I'll see y'all around.